of things popped up that now you got to have some kind of um, premium account for Twitter or X or whatever.
Oh, you do have to?
Yeah. So
I don't know. I nuked my
so
account. I mean, I have a burner account, but I nuked my main account when Elon took over.
so pretty much fuck them. They be all right.
I think the original creators of Twitter should just start a new platform. Twitter was good when in its day, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. It was good until Elon. Up until the day Elon took over, it was great. Then it just went to shit. All right, let me fucking hell. All right, we're streaming live on Twitch and YouTube, and as soon as I get TikTok, we go live on TikTok. And this is gonna be too much of a headache with TikTok. Anyway, let's just get started.
Let's just get started.
Yeah.
All right, where's my elusive record button?
Recording in progress.
And we are back for yet another episode of the Rules of Nerdquisition. This is episode, gosh, 15? Is it 15 already? Is that where we're at?
Yes,
I have to see.
We are at No, wait. Number 16. No, wait.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, number 15 because we did
15.
We did two-parter in all in
Right.
one. Yep.
That's
So,
right.
Yeah.
Episode 15, right on. And this is the Galileo 7. I don't think we need to introduce ourselves. If you listen, you already do, but I am Gretchen, and this is Gilbert, and we are your hosts here on the Rules of Nerdquisition, attempting to review every episode of Star Trek in the order of release-ish.
You know,
And just get...
sprinkling a few hints and surprises and guests here and there within the realm of our little sector of the galaxy here.
Right.
You know?
Of which we have, our ship has been recalled to Earth due to political turmoil. But while we are en route, we can still continue our mission briefings and talk
Yes.
about the things that make us happy in a world that is crumbling around us.
So, if you feel like you're in a crumbling dumpster fire, hey, listen to us. We'll make it better.
Or at least make it less, we'll make it less serious. We can certainly make it more, we can
We'll
make it
definitely
more
entertain
absurd.
you. We'll definitely
We can make
entertain
it more ridiculous, and shenanigans will ensue. I promise you. I promise you. Okay, well, yeah, today we're
So,
talking about the Galileo 7.
the
Of course, it's going to
Galileo.
be a heavier episode. It's too bad Shore Leave didn't fall on today's episode, which we need kind of that lighthearted.
Yeah, that would be nice. That would be nice. You know, we need that break. Didn't know that we were going to need that break, but now we know we need that
No,
break. So it's there now.
no, we
We've
did
got
not.
the Galileo 7.
Galileo 7. And just a brief setup here, the Enterprise is, they're heading towards they're on a mission of, galactic importance as they have, this title gets me, High Commissioner, Galactic High Commissioner Ferris is on board overseeing medicines being delivered to the planet Makis 3. But as directed by Starfleet, they are passing by, the Enterprise and crew are passing by a quasar-like formation in which they have been ordered to investigate these phenomena. So Kirk is rationalizing that they have time to get those medicines where they need to go while also studying this phenomenon, and loads up a crew onto the shuttle Galileo to go out and get some information on this particular event.
Yeah, what could go wrong?
What could go wrong? I mean,
What
it's
could go
Star Trek.
wrong?
Everything is peachy keen all the time.
Absolutely. And so
I'm
while while we're there and they Spock and the away mission and the away crew they land. Oh, and that's when the shenanigans happens. Oh,
Shenanigans happen. And who do we have on board here? We've got Spock, who's commanding the mission, of course. Scotty, McCoy, Lieutenants Latimer, Gaetano, and Boma, as well as Yeoman Mears. We
mm-hmm.
always
Yes,
got to have the pretty face, as was
of
the
course,
misogynistic rule of thumb for Star Trek back in the day.
of course. Because I mean, pretty faces bring the ratings. So yeah, makes sense.
Now, one thing I wanted to point out is that High Commissioner Ferris, his uniform looks a lot like the jumpsuits that the crew wears aboard the Enterprise
Enterprise.
in the
Yeah,
show Enterprise. Yeah,
yeah.
but
I
very similar to those. So,
I thought that was like a neat little nod that Enterprise did to for the original series. So I was like, yeah, all right, cool.
I like
I
to
can get behind that. That was all right.
I
That was
like
all
to
right.
think that it's a throwback. Yeah, definitely a nod to, and not just a happy coincidence. So I'm just going to believe what I believe, and I
Right.
will not be taking questions. But he's obviously
Uh,
not happy. He's not happy.
oh
He's like,
no.
hey, look, we
No, no,
got
no, no, no.
medicine to deliver.
So look here, man. Look, I get it. You got your orders, but you know what? We gotta take this medicine here, dog. Like you could just drop him off and then go back and do your thing, man. But come on, man. Yeah. So no, he was highly upset, highly upset with Kirk that he decided, you know what? Since it's on the way, let's just stop off real quick. Let them give them a shuttle. Let them go out. Explore for about an hour or so like that. Get enough good readings and then come back and be on our way. Call it a day. No muss, no fuss. And
Right.
then
And it should go normally, you would think,
yeah,
but this is not the last time that the Enterprise and crew in various series will be on a humanitarian mission to deliver medicine in a
and
timely fashion and get sidetracked along the way due
right.
to events not of their making.
Yes, exactly. Because hey, this little sidetrack on the way thing. Hey, it's just a quick 5 minutes. See what's going on with it. Take a couple pictures. Say it and write a report up. Be on your way.
Right.
Quick, no
And
muss, no fuss, and you're thinking, hey, cool, 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 cool.
and and arguably, what kind of an episode would you have? It's like, Helm, set a course for Makus 3, warp factor 5. Okay, we've arrived at warp factor 5. Okay, transporter room, beam down the medications. Captain, the medications have been beamed down. They're being distributed. The colony or the planet is safe. Okay, end of
Right,
episode.
right. Like I mean, that's a boring ass episode. You don't want that. You got to have the strife. You got to have the conflict. You got to have the drama. You got to have Bones saying, "Damn it, Jim, I'm a doctor, not a you know whatever." But that we haven't got to that point yet.
Right. I'm a doctor, not a bricklayer.
Right. So oh, and then when they get there, crash land, and then as they're scrambling trying to fix the ship, they're being attacked by some unknown forces. We don't know
Unknown
what it
forces,
is.
yes.
We don't know what they
Yes.
are. We don't know what's going on. We don't know what's happening. We just know they're in a hostile place, in a hostile planet, hostile environment, and they need to fix it and get off the planet quick. That's all
Thank
they
you.
know.
Thank you, Space Turbulence, for depositing us on yet another hazardous to your health world.
Right? Right?
And of course, sensors aren't working, communication is impossible. The Enterprise can't contact them. Nobody knows where they are, what they're doing. They're just trapped on this planet. Um, and
Yeah. And
this
so
we're going to get more xenophobia in this episode,
yeah, it's it's
directed
coming.
towards Spock as always.
Of course, because because well, one because within the show he's the alien. He is the one that has no emotions. He's not not like the rest of them. But of course, naturally, outside of the show during that time, the main part of the reason why he was kept getting so much flack was because of the ears and his eyebrows and the haircut. And people were thinking inside, oh, he's the devil. No, he's just an alien. That just how his ears grow, man.
Right,
That's just
right.
how his ears grow.
Exactly. So, I mean, fortunately, we've got Scotty with the crew. So, I mean, he can begin to assess the damage of the shuttlecraft and
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 kind of
decide what repairs need to be made. But we need to send some people out to scout too, because there's something strange as afoot circle the odd planet that we just crashed on. So,
right. So we gotta see what's going on out there because we hearing some stuff and we're seeing some stuff and then and still,
that
even though they crash landed, the mission still must happen. It still must go on. So they gotta
must
do
go
it.
on.
They gotta explore. While Scotty's trying to fix the ship, they're out exploring, doing the job, taking all the readings and everything like that, and then bum bum bum, they get like a spear or something like that. Am I mistaken? Isn't that right? Some one of the indigenous life there just throws a spear and just
Yeah, the
impales a
giant.
mountain. Like impales a mountain. There's no other way to say it. Just impales a mountain.
Right, Latimer is killed by the spear because these giant, like, caveman creatures. Again, had the episode been made today, probably would have been a different kind of alien, but we're working within
Right.
budget constraints of, a still getting off the ground TV show that hasn't gained the popularity that will inevitably will one day. But yeah,
Yeah, so
Latimer goes down.
you kind of got to get what you get. So Latimer is down, then then goes to search for Latimer. So everybody piles out. Oh, hey, what happened to Latimer? Blah 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 blah. And then Spock, of course, being Spock. Oh, it's only logical that he needs to. Oh, sorry about that. So it's only logical that hey, we stick to the mission and stick to the repairs, and then we look for him later. And
Right, and
then,
and this
which
is
ruffles some
interesting part of the
feathers.
which is interesting part of the episode because Scotty has mentioned that in order to achieve escape velocity after assessing the damage, he's realized that the shuttle has lost a lot of fuel. And they're
Mm-hmm.
going to have to drop several 100 pounds to be able to get escape velocity. Well, you just lost 200 right there,
Yeah, I mean,
or thereabouts, 180 to 200 pounds, given the average height and weight of a man.
yeah.
So
So I mean, you got to think. Let's just say to be on the safe side, let's just say that he is 200, because
right,
hey, this Starfleet and they're in space, and so they got to have some kind of muscle. So they got to be. I would think that, they got to be at least like some kind of weight limit. So
yeah,
let's just say that he is 200. So that's 200 right there, dog. I mean, you got 500 to go.
right, and this is already when Spock is trying to determine which crewmen need to be left behind in order
Hmm.
to rescue everybody else. Well, I mean, these giant caveman aliens have already made at least one decision for you. So,
Right.
and,
So
and the other guy, in typical Star Trek, cool, calm, and collected fashion, is firing blindly all over the place with his phaser, freaking out after Latimer goes down and whatnot. And to
hmm
be fair, too, remember that Uhura is kind of the acting science officer on the Enterprise right now, and they've sent the shuttle Columbus out
hmm
to try and find out what happened to the Galileo. But yeah, they're fighting space cavemen, Captain Caveman. I don't know what
Space
you'd call
Captain
him, but
Caveman.
space Captain Caveman.
That's about right. I mean that's exactly what he looks like in Space Captain Caveman. And so while they're firing blindly, trying to scare the caveman off, which it probably does, it scares him away for a little bit. And then his friend gets another friend, and their friends get more friends, and they come back.
they come back and again,
Yeah.
everyone's already upset with Spock because Spock is like looking over the spear and he's making archaeological comments about the thing, and everyone's like,
So,
"You're
did you
gonna."
see with he he's dead,
Latimer's
man.
dead, man.
I
Latimer's
mean,
dead. He's dead, man.
you see he's
Like,
dead, right? You know, you do know. I mean that's not a coincidence.
it reminds me. It reminds me. This kind of conflict reminds me of the reboot. Um, when when McCoy is talking to Spock, and I don't remember exactly what they're talking about at the moment, but Spock says something like, if the needs of the crew would be better served by me roaming the halls weeping, then I will defer to your to your and your expertise, Doctor." Which is basically what Spock says here. Like, he's dead.
Yeah,
Whether I'm upset or not doesn't change anything. He's dead. So
right. And so, I mean, if you think about it and everything like that, I mean, yeah, it does make sense. I mean, yeah, he's dead. I mean, it's
they won't
tragic.
even
It's tragic, but as circumstances is right now at the moment, we can't think about that.
they won't even let Spock help them carry the body. And I'm like, wow, he's the strongest person in your crew right now, in your little
Right?
group. I mean, let him carry some of the weight, man. Let him
I
carry some
mean,
of the weight.
yeah. He could let him carry him by himself, so I don't see what the problem is. But you know what? Hey, Boma always he had a problem with him. Had a problem with
Yeah.
Spock. Had a problem with his decisions. Had a problem with just his whole thought process because, you know, naturally, just like everyone else, Spock didn't make decisions with emotion, so to speak. You know, he thought more logically out and then made decisions from there. And kind of thinking what will be the best outcome with the circumstances that's happening right now, which that's what we all will do. So you can't fault him for that, but at the same time, I get Bowman's whole thing about why won't you just say something? Sorry, you're dead, dude.
Right.
I
Right.
mean,
Right.
it's like sorry you're dead right now, but I mean, we all got to live right now, dude. We got to get off this planet. Like I'm sorry he's dead, but we got to get out of here.
And there are conflicts all over. I mean, because even Sulu has given Kirk a little bit of pushback when Kirk is like, "Hey, we need to widen our search area."
Yeah,
And
and
and Sulu's like, "Well, that's going to lower the accuracy of our search." But and he's giving Kirk some pushback, and it's like, man, did the chain of command just go out the window at this point? I thought you were all like. I've always gotten the impression, even in the original series, that to graduate from Starfleet Academy is it's we're
it
talking
is.
Ivy League level.
Yeah,
I mean, it's
yeah, it is the cream of the crop. The very best of the best of the best. And the simple fact is that you're on. Excuse me. That you're even on. The flagship of.
and the flagship of the
Yeah, the
Enterprise.
flagship
Yes,
of the. Even if you're um the janitor sweeping the halls up until to the captain, you're on the
absolutely.
flagship. You are
This
on.
this is this is what Will Smith meant when he said the best of the best of the best, sir.
Yeah, exactly. Best of the best of the best.
So
So
yeah, I mean,
yeah,
I do question some of that breakdown in the chain of command, especially from some low lieutenants or something like that, maybe, but from Sulu, and it
yeah.
wasn't serious pushback, but I still
But I mean, it was
like.
just it wasn't like pushback and it's like, no, this was wrong. This is we can't do this and blah 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 blah. It's just like, hey, you do know if we do this and this is what's going to happen, right? Yeah, okay. I
And
mean, I'm just letting you know. You know, that's
it
and
definitely
so
plays into the overall theme of Star Trek of the needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few. Not
correct.
only are we dealing with that on a small scale down on the planet with the crew of the Galileo 7, we're
Hmm.
dealing with it on the Enterprise where they're wagering 6 or 7 lives versus that of an entire colony or planet that is in desperate need of medications to save them from the plague.
Correct. You know, and
And I
then
think Sulu would be mindful of that.
yeah,
Certainly Spock would be. If he were to learn that the Enterprise had to leave and go save an entire planet from a plague, he'd be like, okay, I get it.
yeah, and we see that nearing the in the I want to say in between the second and the third act that you know the conversation comes up as like what would happen if we're stuck here for X amount of time. And Spock just simply said, Enterprise is going to leave us because they got that medicine to deliver. So
Yeah, exactly.
he knew that if we weren't out of here, at this, we're on a crunch time right now to actually leave, because otherwise, if we don't, we are going to die because they're going to leave because they have to deliver this medicine.
Right, exactly. And again, there's another theme. While you always have Spock reminding us that the needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few, you always have Kirk reminding us on more than one occasion that risk is part of the game.
Yeah,
I was just watching the Next Generation movies with my second oldest the other day, and we're watching the opening scene of Generations when Kirk is talking to Captain John Harriman of the Enterprise B, and he's like, "Risk is part of the game. You want to sit in that chair, man." I
yeah.
mean,
I mean, you
that's
gotta,
it.
yeah. Um,
And one of the original episodes, he says, "Risk is why we're out here. This is why we're doing this."
yes,
So
exactly. So I mean, it's like, you got to take the good with the bad on this one. So yeah.
exactly. So now it's funeral time. Now it's funeral
Mhm.
time for a good old laddie, for good old
Which,
laddie.
which again, no, I understand Spock's whole side on this. It's tragic that he died, but we got to hurry up. And I applaud Boma, for showing that bit of humanity, and and wanting to honor his memory, and wanting to say goodbye to his friend. I get that, and there's no problem with that. In certain
No,
situations like this, though, I mean, you're gonna have to have like a little different on priorities on this. But
I agree. I
yeah,
agree. I agree. You are my friend, and if me and you and some other people were stranded on a planet and you met an unfortunate fate, and
like
I was still trying to get everybody else out of here,
I would expect you to mourn, but I mean, I want you, but you get out of the situation first.
I will mourn in my own way at a later time that is convenient to do so, while other lives are not in my charge
Right.
at that time.
Like I would expect that. And
And Spock understands that when he gives the pushback, like, I don't want to do the funeral ceremony, even though he ultimately relents,
right,
but
but
he does say that there are priorities here because I'm the only other person qualified to help Scotty do what he's doing.
yeah, in which
And,
he's not wrong. He's not wrong. You know,
no,
but I think
and
with Boma saying is that it's it's sort of like how my mom would always say, it's not what you say, but it's the way that you say it. So I think Boma could probably accepted it if it were phrased better than the way Spock just said it. You know, and they may he just like a more sugar coated version that's like, hey, look here, buddy. I understand. We all gotta grieve in our own way, in our own time. But hey, look here, man. I understand and I get it. I loved him and I missed him too. But would he want us? And give him some comforting words and then say, hey, we got to get the hell up out of here. And just gotta phrase it a little bit, better way.
yeah, and me being who I am, I mean, I would be worried about the snarling space cavemen that are trying to kill us too. I mean, I don't want to be
I don't want
I
to
don't want to
be,
be the
yeah,
next two I don't want to be the next 200-pound discardment from the from
right.
the
I don't want to
crew.
get a, I don't want to get stuck on the side of a mountain from a giant spear that just completely, put a hole in my entire chest cavity. You know what I mean? I'm not trying to see that. I'm not trying to die like that.
Right. And even though some of the other crew members have managed to drop another 150 pounds of useless equipment, they're still 150 pounds over weight limit, which doesn't matter anyway, because while Spock and Scotty are trying to fix the ship, the fuel line ruptures and all the fuel's gone.
Yeah.
Now
So
we ain't got
now,
no gas.
so now we got no gas. We can't start. We got giant cavemen that are throwing tree trunks at the side of mountains through us. You know, we're boned, and we only got maybe about 15 minutes before before our ride takes off. We're screwed. But somehow, miraculously, Scotty and Spock are able to lift up somehow lift up, and using the phasers, the battery and the phasers and science magic that we don't understand because it's out in deep space, and Scotty does Scotty things and we don't know what he does. He
At
just works
least the
he just works his
phasers,
engineering magic.
at least the phasers are energy weapons that can be converted in such a way to usable energy by the shuttle. To those of you listening, we do not endorse and actively discourage you from when you run out of gas next time. Do not pour bullets into your gas tank and attempt to start your vehicle.
No, don't do that. Don't
Don't
do
do
that.
that.
Don't do
That
that.
is a big no.
Don't do that.
That is a no. That is a no. Yeah. And all the while, we're still,
But
because we're getting it.
although if you do that, then it may kind of thin out the herd on that one. So
I have been a longtime proponent of removing warning labels and allowing Darwinism to take over again.
that
I'm a
we
big
may have
fan of
to we
that.
may have to we may have to table that discussion and weigh out the true pros and cons.
Yeah, we also have other shows,
Con.
right? And we also have other shows where these conversations would be more
Where we can
acceptable,
explore that topic, you know.
and
Yes,
also having more diverse opinions as well with some of our other crew.
correct.
But yes, I'm definitely making a note of that one.
Yes, we're gonna have to talk about that one. We're definitely gonna have to talk
But
about that one.
but we've got an imminent attack. And as always, Spock is being logical, and they're talking about the tribalism of this particular race. I guess they're called Taurians. I did not know that. That is a new one for me. It's just maybe that's the planet they're on.
I
I don't
suppose.
know for sure where that name came from exactly.
But I
Let
didn't
me
think it
see
really
if I
had a
can
name.
even.
It just
Well,
it
I
just said
generally
a
use
hostile
I
planet.
use yeah I use memory alpha as sort of my. Okay, so the planet they land on is Taurus 2. So
Okay.
Taurians, Taurus 2. Okay, that makes
Okay. All
sense.
right.
They're
So
just
yeah.
just assuming they're Taurians, but yeah, I use Memory Alpha as sort of my guidebook when we're reviewing episodes, just to help me keep track of the episodes. I've watched so many recently while we're doing this project that
Right.
I've got Trek coming out the ears in every possible. Like, was that this episode or that episode? Was that a movie or was it the reboot or was it not the reboot? Was it animated? Was it not? I don't even know anymore. Like,
Said, oh yeah, 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 absolutely. Because right now I realized that when I was looking at Enterprise, because I've got to watch season 3 and 4 of Enterprise. Then I realized that probably should start from the beginning because my memory is not too clear on the first 2 seasons. And so I know a lot of them they were kind of like their own self-contained episodes, and a lot of them introduced the teleporter, and they introduced a lot of other things that are in Star Trek that were already introduced in Star Trek lore. from the
Right,
original series. Yeah,
like the predecessor to the phasers was the phase cannons,
right. Yeah.
or they had those guided missiles instead of photon torpedo
Mm-hmm.
before they had
Yeah,
photonic torpedoes and all that stuff. They didn't even have a tractor beam; they had a grapple,
yeah.
like
And
a
so little
giant
stuff
grappling
like
hook.
that. Yeah.
Right, exactly.
And then you see, the what situations happened that made him change to using this new experimental thing with transporters. Because Captain Archer got in. He was running for his life, and then they needed a way to get him out because he needed
Yep, I
to
remember
leave,
that
but
one.
he couldn't.
They're like, we got to beam them up. They're like, we can't. That's not what the transporter's for. They're like,
Well, we don't have a choice because we can't send a shuttle down there.
no, we can't. And the grapple's not long enough. So,
Yeah, so we
and,
gotta
and
they gotta do something.
we got to do something. So, yeah, that evolution was very cool. I liked seeing that. I mean, Enterprise is not necessarily one of my favorite series of as a whole.
Mm-hmm.
It has its charm, and when I say not my favorite, I love Star Trek in general. So, I mean, for me to say I don't like this particular episode or this series, take that with a grain of salt. I just mean there are others I like better, but I
Right.
still love Star Trek in general as a whole, the whole thing.
Yeah.
Even
I think for me it's just because they had an actual song as a theme instead of just like the a musical instrumental,
Mhm.
as in like the rest of the series. But this is the only one that had like words. So I was like, no, I don't like it already. I don't like it already. I don't like it already.
there is much controversy over the opening theme to Enterprise. I have gone back and forth with people who are also Trekkies on
Yeah.
on TikTok about this. And said, it's like
It's
even
just
the
I don't know what
remake,
it's like.
even the jazzier remake they did in the later seasons of that show.
I don't know. Just I just can't. I've been so used, even through all of the newer stuff with Discovery, the Lower Decks, Prodigy, the animated stuff. It's always been an instrumental, and
Strange
this
New
is
Worlds
yeah instrumental.
is my favorite opening of all the series
Yes,
right now. It is
yes,
just badass all the way.
yes, absolutely. And again, and it's just I don't know what it is. Just something about just so used to it being an instrumental. Then here we are with an actual song. It's like no, 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 no.
Well, and each one
Something
kind
about
of
it
like
just kind of I don't know. Just for me, it was a good song, great song. And
it's okay, I guess.
but just not for Star Trek. Or at least not
No,
an
because
opening theme for Star Trek, at
and
least.
each opening theme had a way of conveying the mood of the show. Next Generation had the old fanfare that started with the motion picture and
Mm-hmm.
just really tied Star Trek together. Voyager had that kind of mystical exploration to because they were in a strange part of the galaxy.
Right,
Everything was new to them. And Deep Space Nine had a very majestic
right.
feel to it. This like fortress, this castle in space that they're defending
Mm-hmm.
against all these different races, and it really defined it. Even you know, I think Strange New Worlds is just kind of triumphant. Like this is the Enterprise. The Enterprise is badass, and we're just going to show you the Enterprise being badass for about 35 seconds before we get into the show.
Right.
Discoveries was really really good opening. It conveyed a lot of different themes of the unknown exploration, but the triumph of Star Trek and all that stuff. And then
Yeah.
Enterprise comes along, and it's like, what?
And it's like a whole
This
yeah.
this is the same kind of trepidation I had for the opening of Star Trek for the Voyage Home. That
Mm-hmm.
opening theme almost sounds like Christmas music to me, with all the bells and chimes and things. And I'm like,
Yeah. Yeah. That's one of
what
those
is what?
ones where I kind of push that memory out.
Because
But
the
then
movie's fantastic. The movie's
yeah,
fantastic. But
it's just
anyway,
I don't know. But that's just a whole nother
I
tangent. That's a whole nother tangent on a whole nother discussion.
fair warning to all of our listeners that when we get to the show Enterprise, I could bet that we're going to have something to say about the opening theme every single episode we review.
Probably. I don't know. Just ah,
We'll see when we get there. We've
yeah.
got quite a few series to go before we get to that one, so we don't have to worry about that right now. But back to the mission briefing at hand.
So back
Um,
to the mission, and so yes, and throughout this whole time, who was commissioner? The commissioner, he was heated, super heated,
oh yeah,
super
he's
heated.
not happy. He's not happy with Kirk, but
Said no.
I understand where he's coming from, even though his
Right.
title's a little bit gaudy and whatever. But
He's always like,
gold.
oh, commissioner, what a bit rude.
I am
And
the
so
Galactic
I,
High Commissioner.
yeah, and I understand his whole view, his whole stance on everything. It's like, yo, I get you got to do your job, but this is medicine. These are people dying. We got to go now. And so he does what anybody else in command that has any kind of pull or some kind of power would do. He makes a phone call. He makes a phone call, and that phone call results in what he wants to hear. And what he wants to hear is like, yo, you got an hour, and you got to go.
Yep. You've got one
And
hour and you've got to go. Meanwhile, Gitano, while after having a discussion with Spock about, using violence against an unknown species and other forms of life, and now being told they can't use their phasers because they need it to fuel the shuttle, and
right,
Scotty's working hard. Gitano takes a rock to the hand, even though he's still got his phaser, and oh God, he dies badly. He dies bad. He tries to get up this like rock face to get away, and
it
he's
just
the giant fuzzy Ewok on steroids says no.
said you mean the creepy Wookie.
The creepy Wookiee.
I mean,
And
it was. I mean, realistically, that's really the best way to put it. It's a creepy Wookie.
it is a creepy Wookiee, yeah. Yeah. Maybe that's where George got the idea from, because we're still a number
Mm-hmm.
of years before the release of Star Wars. So,
Yeah.
or
So
to you younger people, A New Hope. For us, it's just Star Wars.
right, said Star Wars. He said, "Oh, you mean no? We mean the original ones."
When I saw Star Wars the first time and A New Hope the first time, and it's the crawl is going up, it did not say A New Hope. That
It
was
didn't.
added many years later. It was just Star
Star
Wars.
Wars. Yep.
That's all it was. Anyway, that's for another podcast, maybe one day.
Another
We got a
podcast for
lot.
another time.
We got a lot on our plate, and BSG comes first.
Yeah. Oh yeah. So that one's a coming too.
Oh
So
yeah, definitely.
and so yeah, he he gets taken up by the creepy Wookiee, and so now let's say
And no one can
we get
find him, and no one
so
can
no one
find
can
him either.
find him. So we got weight limit now. So winning, I guess. So Scotty does his thing, works his magic, uses the phasers, and fixes fixes the engine and makes enough fuel to where he can make one desperate launch up into space. And that's what he does. And that's where we're
Right,
at.
but let's not forget that as they're getting ready to go, you got one of the Taurians, the cavemen people, with a big rock
Just
trying to
yeah,
attack the
bashing,
shuttle. Holding the
trying to
big
get
rock up
inside.
over his head.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And and no one has phasers left. They're done.
So of course
Spock
because
Spock discovered Gitano's body on the principle of scientific curiosity as they were running back to the ship, and Spock narrowly misses being hit multiple times by giant tree trunk spears. But they
so
do
yeah.
make it back to the shuttle, and they still got an
And
hour to go though before they can get off the ground.
yeah, so they got a lot of effort to make, so even just to get off of the ground. And so once they finally get off of the ground,
After
uh,
electrocuting the hull, by the way, to
after
scare and scaring
so
off the aliens.
they finally make it away back into orbit. And then Spock realizes that hey, we we're gonna be stuck out here. We're not gonna have we're gonna be stuck. We're gonna die out here. And it was right about that same time, just before then, the Enterprise, they said, all right, we reached our limit, so we gotta go. So, right as they're turning to leave, and Marex, same time, because of course it's Star Trek is TV, and that's the way he wrote it.
Yeah, oh yeah, absolutely.
So yeah,
Everything comes down to the last possible
so
minute.
that
You've got 10 minutes to bury this guy. The Columbus is docking. That's gonna be back in 23 minutes. You've got 23 minutes until we gotta get the Enterprise has got to get out of here. All these
right.
time frames coming down,
Said
the
pass the wire, and then as
insert
soon as
Jeopardy theme.
yes, and then as soon as the Enterprise pulling away, then they see a pretty much a giant space flare, pretty much.
Right, because Spock took a gamble
Yeah,
and burned
and
all the fuel
burnt all the fuel, in an effort just to say, hey, we're here.
to create a flare, essentially. Like
Right.
it's your last flare, and you're firing it up in the air. And if nobody
He said
comes,
if
then
nobody comes, then hey,
you're
we're gonna
done.
die anyway. So I mean, hey, might as well try to die getting rescued. And
Better
so
better cooked in the atmosphere than smashed with a tree
then with a
trunk or a
tree trunk
giant
or a rock,
boulder. Right.
So I mean, hey, at least we're trying. And so it
Nope,
was
absolutely.
right at that point. Then pops up on the scanners, and then they say, "Oh,
Sulu sees it.
Sulu
Yep,
sees
Sulu
it."
sees it.
And then Kirk immediately, turn around now. And then they turn around, use the phasers, not phasers, the transporters, and transports everybody right in the nick of time. Right in the nick of time. Just split second before everything just blows up. Right in the nick of time. Because that's the way Gene wrote it. That's the way Gene needed it to be. And so it is.
And then, so everyone's back on the ship. We're good. Sulu sees it. We're able to get the remaining crew of the Galileo back onto the ship. And we always get that last minute of morality and stuff like that,
Oh, of
when
course,
Kirk is talking to Spock, he's like, hey, that kind of desperate maneuver you did there seemed
it's kind of
kind of
human.
human to me.
He's like,
Spock, of course, like, nah,
nah.
I don't do that. I don't do that
So
at all.
I didn't see that.
Nah,
I didn't see
yeah.
I mean, sure.
It's not what you know, it's what you can prove.
So right. I mean, is there video of me doing it? No. Well, then that didn't happen.
Right, and Kirk is like, you're a very stubborn man, to which Spock is like, yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. Tell me
Yeah,
something we don't know.
that's not a secret.
And everybody laughs jovially as the Enterprise flies off to save the people of Makus 3 with the
Right.
life-saving vaccines and medications and whatever. So it's just like, in a particularly dark episode that obviously covers xenophobia, the chain of command,
Right.
the responsibilities of commanding officers. I don't know if the group laughter at the end. Maybe it was just take the tension off. Could have been.
That would be the only way I would think, or I wouldn't even kind of excuse it. Would be simply because of that, you know.
Had this happened on the Enterprise D, Picard would have been in the transporter room when they recovered all the crew, and he would have walked down the line. He was like, "You'll see Counselor Troy at 3. You're going to see her at 4. You're going to see her at 5." Like, I know there's some trauma. You're bringing some trauma back.
Right, because well, he would say first thing was say, report to sick bay now.
Right.
Yep. Get patched
medical
up
checks first.
Get patched up, get medical, then go see Dr. Troy. Go see Deanna Troy, and then come back to work.
Right. Step 1, go see the doctor. Step 2, go see the counselor. Step 3, take a few days off.
Yeah, and then come back in because you're stuck in that situation where you need some kind of help.
And I would say even to Spock, even if it's just to meditate for some time, because we're told constantly, it's not that Vulcans don't have emotions, it's simply that they don't express them, they suppress them.
Right.
And that kind of trauma, I mean, just seeing some of the interviews with Leonard Nimoy saying that, like, there would be days when he was offset, he would just break down crying because of having to be emotionless through all these shoots
Yeah,
affected him personally.
yeah,
That kind of discipline affected him personally. And just, I would think that Spock would still know. I mean, again, in the reboots, he even said it to the Spock Prime, said it to younger Kirk, like, I, I'm telling you, I'm emotionally compromised.
yeah.
You may not see it, but I am. My whole planet just blew up. I
He
am
said,
compromised.
he said, I can tell you right now, he needs you. He can tell you anything in the world that he wants to, and he will have you fully convinced that he is fine. I guarantee you, he is not. His entire planet blew up. His family is gone. His friends are gone. Everyone he knew and loved is gone. He is broken. Trust me on this.
Yep, absolutely. And I think this episode does it does two different things. First of all, it really does show, you know, like McCoy and some of the other humans that are on this mission, you see the conflict and contrast between emotionlessness, or at least lack of expression of emotion, where
Right.
sometimes I think McCoy and some of the other human characters are almost too emotional.
Yeah, to kind
He
of balance
like
out that his robotic or I
his
wouldn't say robotic.
coldness,
His yeah, exactly. His coldness. Yeah,
per,
to kind of balance
perceived
out. Yeah,
coldness.
his perceived coldness. Whereas
And
we
I
have
think
to kind
Star
of
Trek
balance
does
out
that.
with yeah with that humanity factor of
Absolutely. And
yeah
that's something that Star Trek does really, really well. While at the same time, despite being someone like me who has never served in the military, you're also looking at it and thinking, well, I mean, I think Spock handled the situation as best as any commander could in that situation.
right
He focused on the priorities to save as many of the people as he could to get them off the planet. And then he made a last ditch effort to save them all that
yeah
were remaining.
and then
And yes, that
and
was an
still at the
emotional
same time
maneuver on his part.
yeah and still at the same time was able to complete his mission, which would be to explore the planet, explore the environment, you
Mm-hmm.
know, get sample, get data, see what's going on, see the atmosphere, still able to complete his mission and save as many people as he could.
Right.
So, in essence, I mean, yeah, we looking at it, and again, I've never served in the military either, so we're looking at as that's the best what somebody could do in that situation. Obviously, because got every as many people out as he could, and was still able to complete his mission.
Now, in my typical fashion, I didn't get to do it at the beginning of the episode. He does play sort of a role, especially over Kirk's ear throughout the whole episode of, as Galactic High Commissioner Ferris trying to get Kirk to
Mm-hmm.
stay on mission and save all these people, was played by John Crawford. He passed away September 21st of 2010. So
Rest in peace.
can't go through my episode without,
You have to mention, the ones that are no longer with us. So, rest in
right.
peace.
And he had some great moments in his career. He was in the 1975 film Night Moves with Gene Hackman. He starred with
Mm-hmm.
with Clint Eastwood and Dirty Harry, and was also in the 1972 version of the Poseidon Adventure. So he's made his way around Hollywood and made his mark. So
All right.
we'll honor him briefly here today and say, hey, we appreciate that. But as far as the episode goes, I mean, I know it was well received. Um, it's given a B rating for the most part, but my mother actually considers this to be her favorite episode. So it's a strange one, I think,
That's
for my mom, who's a very emotional and liberal minded person, to pick this one out of all of them. But hey, she always loved it. And, there's always
okay.
that thing going around that everybody's kind of got a crush on Spock. I know Kirk was the womanizer and all that stuff, but I mean, I've seen it even in the movie I Am Spock that was made by his son Adam Nimoy, talking about the amount of fan mail he got of women that were just like professing their
Yeah.
immense love for
For Spock.
Spock.
Yeah. And I was like, oh, okay.
But
Because
out of over
that,
700 episodes, it's considered the 36th best.
well,
It's ranked 36 out of 700 plus. So
oh, okay. That's, oh, okay.
and
It's
also
just,
considered one of the top 10 essential Spock episodes. There's my trivia
well,
for the
yeah,
day.
I could see that. Yeah, I could definitely see that because it definitely it showcased Spock in
Yeah,
situations where at up until that point, it has been all Captain Kirk making decisions, and Spock letting you know, hey, this is what's happening. This is what the more information, so you can make a better decision. As far as what we've seen up until that point, it's just been Spock saying, this is what should, logically, this is what should have done, but the captain instead chose to do this, which it worked out good as well. Not
he's
knocking him, but
starting
hey,
to he's starting to become the essential member of the original crew at this point.
right.
So
And so yeah,
where yes, he was a main character since the original pilot with Pike, we're starting to really get we're starting to get the cohesion now
yeah, and we're
with
starting to see now,
McCoy and
yeah,
Kirk and Spock and Uhura and Sulu and Chekhov. The unite the seven. Is that what they
exactly,
say?
exactly, yes. And so yeah,
So
you kind of see now that now Spock is now has the opportunity to let logic dictate, because in the other situation, any other situation, it will be, what would Captain Kirk do? Would the captain do this? Would the captain do that? And say, well, Captain's not here, so now it's all Spock. And one thing I kind of thought was a little bit interesting is that he was a little reluctant to take command,
yeah,
and
a little bit.
and it wasn't until I think actually McCoy called him out on it, in which he tried to say, command is just command. It's something I'm not afraid of, but you can still kind of see at the same time is that he's not afraid of command, but he doesn't want it.
No,
And
he definitely doesn't want it. That's for sure. For sure.
yeah,
So, but yeah, still a great episode. And in the end, it's setting the tone. We're getting the crew that we will come to know and love, and we can start to get into some great storylines. Next week or next episode, we will be talking about the Squire of Gothos. This is yet another one of my favorite episodes because it is ridiculous.
yes, it is, and it's actually I didn't notice this. I didn't realize until after I saw it. This is a basis for, well, obviously, it's the inspiration for a Futurama episode that
Oh
is
wow.
about. It's roughly about the same kind of entity and everything like that. But yeah, it's pretty interesting. It's pretty funny, and so to say it was this next episode, it's pretty funny. It's good, and so it's another one I think is that I think this is the series kind of built sort of the background of Q and the Q continuum, because between Charlie X and who else?
Well,
The
Charlie
the
X
Telosians, the
definitely.
Telosians.
The
Well, not the
Telosians.
Telosians.
The official Star Trek encyclopedia that was written by Michael Okuda
Mm-hmm.
states that some have speculated that the Squire of Gothos, or Trelane in the episode, played by William Campbell,
Is a Q.
um, is a Q.
Yeah.
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 And
So and I could definitely see that, because everything would have happened. But we'll talk about that in the next episode. Because
yes,
we're not
absolutely.
giving it all away for free, folks.
No,
Even though
no.
we are giving away for free, but we're just not giving it all away for free at the same time.
Our time is not being given. If our time is currency, we're not giving it away for free. So be sure to join in next time. We'll have all of the same hijinks and hopefully a great episode with that Squire Gothos. And I'll have some fun things to say about William Campbell anyway, because he is a Star Trek alumni. He has
Oh
made more than
yes.
one appearance as different characters and some of my favorites. But anyway, that's it for me. I've given my opinions. We're already
Okay.
en route to Earth because of political turmoil, but take us home, number one.
So, fun episode, great time. Good fun. See you all next week. Ish. And remember, everybody, keep your triple spayed and neutered. Live long and prosper. Take care.